Ashes of Creation is the most promising MMORPG of the following years, without a doubt. Most MMORPG fans actively follow their progress, or at least they know that a very good game is in development when they hear about it. But where does that come from, and why are most of us so excited to see the final product they have to offer us? To answer these questions, I want to take you on a journey with me to see how exactly this path is built and what we expect this game to bring us. The development team for the game is Intrepid Studios, which was founded by Stephen Sharif and John Moore in 2015. Both of them were passionate gamers and successful entrepreneurs who took their knowledge of business and passion for games and set out on a mission to make a gaming company that would build the games players wanted. Stephen Sharif, the main face and creative director of the game, says that he has been a gamer for 25 years and has always found himself playing MMORPGs. I will quote some of his words because I believe they are crucial and add a lot of value to the game he is trying to make. There is something about the massively multiplayer part of the game that has always intrigued me. Nothing compares with the experience of playing with thousands of people from across the world. Everything in my design for Ashes of Creation stems from the role of community in our game. I want to see the players dictate the direction of our story. I want to see the world we develop, adapt to, and react to through the players' actions. Most importantly, I want to see a game built by gamers for gamers. We can understand from his words that he is someone who really plays MMORPGs, and most of what he says is something every MMORPG player would like to hear from the creative director of the game. A very important note here is that Stephen Sharif set out to bring aboard a team of industry veterans with a clear vision for the company's first project, and brought to his team many people with deep knowledge of MMORPGs and games in general. But now let's dive a bit into the game itself, and see what exactly they will try to offer us. As they describe it, Ashes of Creation takes place within a medieval fantasy setting, blending imagination with cutting-edge graphics. They are putting the word massive back into massively multiplayer with unique and novel mechanics that will give meaning to player action. Ashes of Creation will incorporate the best parts of traditional MMORPGs with innovative sandbox concepts. We will choose our fate at every opportunity. Quest lines will open and close based on the interactions of the players with their world, because this is a world where choice is consequential. Monsters will roam and grow in ferocity as civilization disrupts the natural order of things. From the location of towns to the size of cities, you will determine the landscape of your world. It will be unique in culture, ecology, and economy. The main promise is that the world of the game will change all the time based on our actions, and they will try to achieve that with the nodes system. Nodes are preset locations wrapped in a zone of influence in the world that can form towns of different sizes. These sizes range from a small camp to a sprawling metropolis. The size of the towns depends on the contributions made by players and how far they've advanced the node. Players do not create the footprint of a node, but within that footprint they do have the ability to own land. Players who are part of the government for a specific node will have the ability to modify building types and services further, but for the most part, a node will grow along its own specific path. Think about this more as NPCs building these towns out rather than PCs individually putting buildings and walls up. A node's contribution area is larger than the actual town itself, allowing players to adventure while building upon the town. They call the contribution area the node's zone of influence, and it's the area where players help advance the node they are in. With this system in place, every server of the game can have a totally different shape and progression. As it is now, there will be 100 nodes on each server. 85 of them will be in regular node locations from the launch, and the rest 15 will come with the 5 guild castles that the world will have. Each castle will have 3 nodes. As we understand it, the nodes will play a vital role in each server's progression and how the world will be shaped around us. The game will use the Holy Trinity system, tank, healer, and DPS, but the classes will be different than the typical classes being offered in MMORPGs. There will be 8 archetypes, and those are Fighter, Tank, Rogue, Ranger, Mage, Summoner, Cleric, and Bard. When we create a character, we will choose one of those archetypes to be our primary one, and we won't be able to change it after. We will receive skill points as we level. These can be used to level up skills within our skill tree. It will not be possible to max out all skills in a skill tree. When we reach level 25, we will be able to choose a second archetype, but it won't provide us with additional skills, and the combination of our primary and second archetypes will determine our class. With that system, the game will potentially provide 64 different classes. We will have the option to augment our primary skills with effects from their secondary archetype. Each skill in the primary tree will have several augment options from the secondary tree. Augments to primary skills can fundamentally change the way the ability works, adapting what the ability once did to incorporate the identity of the secondary archetype class. Ashes of Creation will feature 9 playable races. The gear we will use in the game will be a weapon and armor. Weapons determine our damage output, along with other conditions and stats. The choice of weapon type changes the feel, pacing, speed, and other aspects of combat. Further specialization is achievable within each weapon skill tree. Some ranged or melee abilities require a specific weapon to be equipped. Weapons that are equipped in the character's ranged or offhand slots will be automatically swapped in and out as required by the skill. We will be able to select which weapon we wish to use as our primary weapon for basic attacks. There will be many different weapon types, and they will offer different passive skills and proc effects from our weapon skill tree as well as different stats. Those weapon types will be the following: 1- and 2-handed axes, bows, clubs, daggers, hammers, lances, 1- and 2-handed maces, halberds, orbs, scepters, shields, 1-handed spears, spell books, staves, 1- and 2-handed swords and rapiers, wands. So we will have many different weapon choices from the get-go. Progress in the game will occur through a variety of pathways, and Stephen Sharif said some things regarding that. The way that Ashes is constructed is that there are multiple paths of progression from a PvX perspective, a kind of wide net perspective that players have interest in, and you're not going to be able to become the master of everything. So you're going to have to pick and choose. But even picking and choosing gives you a place within that aspect of the world that's going to be something that you can build up a reputation around. Multiple playstyles should be relevant and viable. Additionally, you have a spread between casual players and hardcore players, and most of us exist somewhere on that spectrum. The progression path in a society or religion is more conducive to the time we have to play. Whereas someone else may be playing several hours a day, and they have a better opportunity for raid or level progression that might require some more dedication. So we want to have these different progression paths available to accommodate the different times in our lives that we have to play the game. And all of those types of progressions will make us relevant in some way, shape, or form to the general world. So they will try to make every playstyle unique in its own way and viable for the system. I am eager to see how these will be constructed as the game progresses and evolves. The combat system in Ashes of Creation is focused on strategy and tactics. They say that combat is the most tactile system in the game. It needs to feel responsive, mobile, and fluid. It needs to give a feeling of satisfaction. Combat is animation-driven to ensure it is impactful and responsive. To be honest, the combat system we have seen so far lacks a lot of things and needs a lot of attention. The good thing is that they know it, and are trying to improve it every time they show us something new. A special feature that Ashes of Creation will try to implement is caravans. The caravan system is an open-world PvP system that revolves around opportunity and risk. Caravans facilitate the transfer of goods for players wishing to turn a profit. They used to transfer personal goods, supplies for castles and nodes, and quests. Caravans can transport goods for one player or multiple players at the same time. There are different types of caravans, and those are mayoral, which are launched by mayors. Mayors are the leaders of the guild that controls the node. Quest-driven caravans are used for trade routes between nodes, and these caravans are system-driven, personal caravans initiated by the player. These are land-based and water-based, naval caravans, that the player drives and directs. Also, a feature will be that certain ships can be hijacked, destroyed, and looted, but the ships themselves cannot be permanently captured. Naval caravans cannot be hijacked. The cargo on a trade ship will be similar to that on caravans in that the ship must be destroyed in order to capture the loot from its wreckage. Other than that, things like housing with options for decoration will be part of the game. Of course, As a massive open-world MMORPG, it will offer various mounts. Under mount category, mules are mounts that assist in the transport of goods, resources, and gatherables to increase a player's carrying capacity. Mules transport goods on a much smaller scale than the caravan system. Also, because everyone loves dragons, dragons will be part of the mount system, but as they are categorized as royal mounts, which means that they are much bigger in size than normal ones, they are only for mayors of metropolis nodes or kings and queens of guild castles. The game, as a big open-world MMORPG, will offer gathering, crafting, dungeons, world bosses, world PvP, guild wars, node sieges, castle sieges, and PvP arenas with multiple options like 1 vs 1, 3 vs 3, 5 vs 5, and possible 20 vs 20 massive battlegrounds. Those are most of the features that the game promises to deliver to us, and as you can see, we have many systems in this game. On top of that, Stephen Sharif, with his words, stated that Ashes of Creation will not be paid to win. That is our pledge to the community. One of the core principles we set forth with Ashes of Creation is a very strong desire to maintain the game's even playing field. That's the best thing to hear from the creator of the game right from the get-go. Because there won't be any pay-to-win systems in place, the game will be subscription-based, and it will cost around $15. Also, there will be an in-game cosmetic shop that will offer various skins and nothing more. Even though I think subscription as a model is old, I am totally fine with that when this leads to a fair game without pay-to-win in it, and I will support it anytime. A big win for them is that they keep their audience updated via YouTube every month on how the game progresses. This, of course, works a bit backwards too, because I think we will get to the point where we will know everything about the game before we even log in for the first time, and we will miss a bit of the discovery factor that makes MMORPGs great. But nowadays this is logical if we think about it. For now, the game is heading towards Alpha 2 testing, and there is no announced or estimated release date. If I had to guess, I would say we must expect the game to go live in the fall of next year or sometime in 2025. As a summary, the reason why this game is so promising and hyped among MMORPG players is because they tried to create a unique game where everything will change in the world by players' actions, offering multiple PvE and PvP content, unique structural systems, and above all, the promise that the game won't be pay to win, which is the main topic of discussion nowadays. My concern is that because they want to make the game as good as they possibly can, it might take a lot of time and they might hit a wall every time because there will always be something to improve. That thing alone can drag the game into development for longer than we expect. Of course, this is not a bad thing. If I had to choose between a game in the near future with problems and a game that would take 2 years but would release in a very good state, I would choose the second because, as we learned from the past, the first impact of the game is very crucial and can't be changed even if the game makes giant steps of improvement. The last big example of that is New World, which I loved even with the many problems it had. We all knew that the game would be much better a year after its release because it had a ton of potential. But because the first impact was so bad, people would never return to it. I could analyze more things about the game because there are a ton of things we can specifically talk about, but I wanted to draw the overall picture for now. Let me know in the comments if you are excited about Ashes of Creation, what you think about it, and if you would like more information about the game in the following videos. If you liked the video, don't forget to show it by clicking the like button, and if you want to support my passion, subscribe to the channel to get notified when new videos come out. Thank you very much. Hopefully you had a great time. See you in the next one.